Hi there, Babysitters Club. I'm Erin.
I'm Tom.
And this is Baby's First Watch List. We're going a little theme crazy for you today. It is the second week in September.
Yes.
Not the first week. For the first week, we just did Willy Wonka for no reason.
That had nothing to do with any theme.
But guess what? It is back to school time. So we're going to do back to school movies for at least a couple weeks. We have a couple of them set up, at least 2 weeks.
Yeah, and then one which we might do that you will watch in school a lot.
Yes.
But we haven't decided that yet.
Perfect. It is the first September in 25 years that I did not have a first day of school, which is kind of sad. I've been a public school gal since I was 5. Went to public school from kindergarten to my senior year. And then in college, went to a public college. And now I'm a public school teacher. Now, obviously, I'm on maternity leave and taking the year to raise our little Bubba.
Who you may hear.
Yeah,
he's making little noises.
His passy just popped out, so We'll see how that goes.
We may have to try to record this for a 4th time.
That's okay. So it's very strange to not feel the simultaneous existential dread and crisp autumn weather excitement of September. Tom, do you like September now as an adult? Did you like it as a kid?
I hated it as a kid.
Really? Why?
So I had to go back to school.
I loved school as a student.
I appreciated it. I was never like, oh my God, I'm never going to go to school. I hate school. But I was like, I'd rather be hanging out with my friends in the summer. That's all.
How about as an adult?
It's my favorite season. Fall is
Fall
my
is your
favorite
favorite.
season. I like September. September sometimes is still a little too hot.
Yeah, but football's back.
Exactly.
How does the sound go to the dun 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 dun? What's the Monday Night Football sound?
I'll play it.
Are you allowed to do that?
Yeah, we're not making money off this.
Okay.
Who cares?
And then you've got the Carrie Underwood who's like, the Cowboys and the Eagles are playing that, and it's a Sunday night.
I've been waiting all day for Sunday night.
Sunday night.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Well, wait, they got rid of that song, and then
because Sunday night sucks.
No, but people got so mad that they brought
it back. They're like, bring it back, people.
For a year, they did a separate Carrie Underwood song.
Oh yeah, she was like,
it was a different.
This is the other one that sounds the same.
Right. And then the people were like, no,
we need waiting all day for Sunday night. Although Sunday night was probably my most least favorite.
It's the worst part of the week.
Sunday
night is worse than Monday morning.
Oh yeah. I hate Sunday night. I hate Sunday night. So Carrie, I'm not waiting all day.
And it's 10 times worse when your team loses on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, that's true. Go Birds, am I right? So it's back to school is what we're doing for the next couple of weeks. And today we are discussing a very back to school movie. It's 2001's Legally Blonde. Now, it's really interesting that I think about it. I always knew that I lived at the same time of Legally Blonde, right? Legally Blonde has never existed without me in the universe, but things were really different when Legally Blonde was announced. I kind of sometimes like to think of things, as awful as it sounds, as pre and post 9/11, and Legally Blonde was pre 9/11, which is wild to me.
You can explain what I'm doing.
Oh yeah, Tom is like begging our child to take the pacifier because he is not Tom the baby laying on the table in a DockATot, and he is just like moving around like crazy. So we'll see if Baby C wants to take it or not. So far, it looks okay. He's got it. I don't know. We'll see.
Go ahead, continue.
Okay, so I was very focused on him there. So this movie, directed by first-timer Robert Luketic, who knows, who's best known for Legally Blonde, was adapted by two women, Karen McCullough Lutz and Kirsten Smith, from a novel by Amanda Brown. Yes, this was originally a novel. I had no idea, and I've been a big fan of Legally Blonde for many years. Apparently, Brown, I don't know why I say apparently like I don't believe her. Brown wrote it based on her experiences at Stanford Law after being encouraged by producer Mark Platt. Now, Mark Platt is a name that probably sounds kind of familiar, maybe not, depending on your level of insaneness when it comes to movie productions. But Mark Platt is really well known producing movies and theater. He is, I think, at this point, best known for being the father of Ben Platt, the Tony-winning actor from Dear Evan Hansen. And he's been in the, not the news, but sort of Twittery universe recently because people say that his dad, Mark, Ben's dad, is the reason why Ben Platt was cast in the movie version of Dear Evan Hansen, which a lot of people made fun of him because he was really old looking, although he's younger than us. So what does that say about us? Although I guess I probably wouldn't be playing 16-year-old kids if I was an actress at this point. I would be like the elderly mom because I think once you turn 24, you're old.
Yeah, the only notable exception that we just talked about was Rachel McAdams in Mean Girls.
But she's supposed to be old.
No, I know.
Yeah.
But she was still 28 playing 17 or whatever, 18.
That is true. Legally Blonde was a big commercial success. It made $141 million worldwide on an $18 million budget. Hopefully most of that went to Reese Witherspoon because she was awesome in
All
this.
of it.
It did relatively well critically. Extra praise, of course, given to Reese for her leading role as icon Elle Woods. Witherspoon netted a Golden Globe nomination for her performance, and the film was also nominated for Best Musical or Comedy. This is, I think, very similar to, you have Emma Stone in the Easy A role.
Yeah.
It's much, I think, easier to get a Golden Globe nomination than an Oscar one. But at the same time...
Well, there's 10 of them as opposed to 5.
Exactly. And there's 5 that are, specifically for the musical and comedy movies.
Though sometimes they sort of mess those up. And
yeah.
I don't have an example off the top of my head, but I feel like every now and then in musical and comedy, it's like a movie that had 2 jokes.
It's a movie that Bill Murray was a supporting person in, so they're like, it's funny.
Right, exactly.
It's no, it's really not funny.
Yeah.
Should we really be putting Inglourious Bastards into no.
Right.
Not that was. I think that was definitely drama,
no,
right?
But there are examples like
Once
that.
Upon a Time in Hollywood in the comedy?
I will do my research. Continue.
I seriously think it was.
I'll come back to this.
Okay. There was one a couple years ago that was just what? Although our favorite Joker 2, Folie à Deux.
Oh, I cannot wait.
It's going to be in musical comedy, which is going to be amazing. I cannot wait. Anyway, there were a bunch of sequels, including Legally Too Blonde, Legally Blonde, Legally Too Blonde, Too Blonde, Too Legal.
Oh, God.
Legally Blonde 2, Red, White, and Blonde. That was the only other one with Reese in it. It was not well received. It also had Regina King in it, though.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood won in 2019 for musical or comedy.
I told you. Oh, my gosh. See, I don't know how I knew that. And there were some straight-to-DVD versions of Legally Blonde or sequels or whatever, including one called Legally Blondes. Who knows?
One other thing on musical or comedy, one of the examples that I had was Get Out.
Yeah, that is
There's a couple
awful.
of funny parts in Get Out, but it's absolutely not a comedy.
Just because Jordan Peele made it?
I guess.
I don't know.
I guess, but I mean,
'Cause
Lil Rel Howery was funny, yeah.
Rod TSA?
Yeah, exactly.
That
The
is-
Martian is in here, is one too, a few years ago in 2015.
That's wild. Yeah. See, that's a racket. So Legally Blonde was also turned into a musical. I love this musical. When I looked it up on Wikipedia, I saw that it got mixed reviews critically, and I say boo to you because I actually find Legally Blonde the musical to be an amazing adaptation of a movie that I already really liked. I think that it took all of the good stuff from the musical, besides Reese wasn't in, or from the movie, Reese wasn't in the musical, but every other great thing about it, and really focused on that. And I loved it. You may, if you are around our age, have seen Legally Blonde the musical because it was played on MTV a lot. And there was
which we referenced in a prior episode.
Yes, and of course, just like Grease, You're the One That I Want, won by Max Crumb.
The God.
Yeah, we love you, Max Crumb. And Laura Benanti, Laura Osnes. We like Laura Benanti.
I don't know who Laura Benanti is, but
she's another kind of theater actress. She played Melania Trump on the Stephen Colbert Show a bunch of times. But Laura Osnes, who she's been in the news lately for some stuff. She's like suing the New York Post and all, whatever.
Yeah.
So they won Grease, You're the One That I Want.
This, which is something totally separate.
This, Legally Blonde, the musical, The Search for Elle Woods, was a reality show on MTV to find who would play Elle after Laura Bell Bundy left the production.
I think I said this the last time, but Laura Bell Bundy is just such a serial killer name.
It's three names Bundy.
And there's a Bundy.
Yeah, that's so true. And really, she's like the perfect little Elle Woods character.
Yeah.
And it also starred Christian Borle, just so you know, which is the hardest name for me to say besides Wolf Blitzer.
Yes.
Because I can't say Wolf. Anyway. Anyway, just like our lovely other musical adaptations, Mean Girls and School of Rock, this musical, Legally Blonde, was nominated for a whole bunch of Tonys. This one is 7. And just like those, it won 0.
Yeah.
That's so rude.
I feel like it's just the same thing that sweeps it every year. I don't know what, not the same thing every time, but I feel like it's like every year there's one musical that wins everything. I have no data to back that up. I know nothing about the Tonys, but that's just what it feels like.
Right? I know, like you had your Hamilton year where it was just like your Dear Evan Hansen year.
Book of Mormon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Where you've got one that kind of just sweeps. And then you have others like Legally Blonde, the musical, Left Behind.
Again, I have no clue if that's what happened this year.
I don't know. I wonder. I have no idea.
That's the research department's job.
Yeah.
April, get on that.
Connell. Oh, I mean, baby. So there is actually, according to Wikipedia, another sequel planned. I would assume that this sequel would involve Reese Witherspoon because it is apparently written by Mindy Kaling and Dan Gore. Mindy Kaling is a friend of Reese Witherspoon's. And
that makes sense.
Yeah. And Dan Gore is known for Parks and Rec and being the co-creator of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So that would be a sequel I'd be interested in.
Pretty promising.
Yeah. It was apparently delayed. The pandemic hit. Nothing's been updated since then that I saw. So keep an eye out. We don't know if it's going into kind of production hell, right? Where it's never, purgatory, never to return again. Or if there's some, updates. Who knows? Keep your eye out. We'll see.
We don't know.
And if there was an article on it, I didn't do any research on it. So
didn't read it.
Could not tell you.
Let us know if you have any information on Legally Blonde 3.
I feel like Mindy Kaling's been doing a lot of TV. She does pretty much only TV.
Yeah.
But she has Never Have I Ever on Netflix and I think Sex Lives of College Girls, something like that on HBO Max.
Okay.
So she's a couple.
She keeps busy.
She does. She has a couple TV shows going on there. And she's also a mom.
Yeah.
She has 2 kids. So, all right, Tom, that is all I have for my pre-summary.
Okay. It's about 14 minutes.
That's better than the 7
the
first time. The first time we recorded, I was like panicking because the baby was like in my arms and like really fussy. And I was like, and then it
So just I'm gonna put this out here before we get further into the episode. When we recorded this the first time, so when we redid our Spider-Verse episode, it was because the audio was bad the first time. Like it just something went wrong with the production of it or whatever. This one we just weren't happy with the episode.
Yeah, it sucked, but
it wasn't that good. So we're giving you a better one, and it's already better.
It's already better. I'm already off the wall.
Yeah, there's no reason for this to have taken 15 minutes, but here we are.
That's because in the back of my mind, I'm literally just thinking of what ice cream flavors I want whenever we get ice cream next.
Okay, well, I'm going to go with the plot summary and move us along here a bit.
Okay.
So we open up with a little montage where college sorority girl Elle Woods, played by Reese Witherspoon, is getting ready for a super important event. She's headed out to dinner with her boyfriend, Warner Huntington III, played by Matthew Davis, and she thinks that he's going to propose. But after her sorority sisters filled out a pre-congratulations card, and after Elle went through her entire day ready for the big moment, Warner instead breaks up with her because he wants to go to Harvard Law, become a politician like his brother, and have, as he puts it, a Jackie instead of a Marilyn.
That's so mean. But also JFK kind of had both.
He did have both.
I don't want to say have both.
Allegedly.
But he was,
he partook in
involved,
both.
involved with both.
Warner basically doesn't think Elle is serious enough to be the wife of a politician. So Elle decides, challenge accepted. She'll just get into Harvard Law too and get Warner back. What? What? Like it's hard?
What? Like it's hard?
So Elle goes back, hits the books, skips parties, studies a ton, and gets a 179 out of 180 on her LSAT. In addition to her 4.0 GPA at, what is it? What's the college?
CULA, because UCLA and USC refused to have their names attached.
So Elle gets accepted to Harvard and heads off to law school. On Harvard's campus, it would be an understatement to say that Elle sticks out like a sore thumb. She's blonde, bubbly, clad in pink, looks like Reese Witherspoon, and carries around her chihuahua named Bruiser, whereas most other people on campus are stuffy and stuck up. One of those stuck up people is Vivian Kensington, played by Selma Blair, a classmate of Elle's who happens to be dating Warner now. Vivian straight up thinks Elle is an idiot. When Elle tells Warner she plans on applying for an internship with Professor Callahan, played by Victor Garber, Warner essentially laughs it off and tells her she's not smart enough. That guy's a real catch.
He's so rude.
Just like before, though, Elle locks in, crushes the rest of her first semester, and Callahan does take her on as an intern alongside Warner and Vivian. Elle, she just thrives on the hate.
Yeah.
She thrives on the haters.
The haters make her famous.
Exactly. And they did, because So, for this internship, they are working on a murder case involving Brooke Wyndham, played by Allie Larder. Brooke is a prominent fitness instructor and older sorority sister of Elle, and she's accused of murdering her husband. Unfortunately, she also has no alibi. But the reason for that is, as she tells Elle, she was having liposuction at the time of the murder, which would ruin her reputation. And so Elle, like a good lawyer, promises not to disclose it to anyone, including anybody else on the legal team. Which I don't know the ethics of that, but I mean, it works for her here. So throughout this time, two things are happening. Elle is becoming friends with a woman at the nail salon named Paulette, played by Jennifer Coolidge, who is helping her mentally through law school. And at the same time, Vivian is kind of warming up to her. Vivian tells Elle that Warner wasn't able to even get into law school without the help of his father. And at the same time, Elle is also impressing Emmett, played by Luke Wilson, who is a junior partner at Callahan's firm. So as it seems the team is making strides in Brooke's case, Callahan has Elle in his office one night and he tries to seduce her. He puts his hand on her leg, and so it's an uncomfortable scene. This kills Elle's confidence because she now thinks that she was only chosen for her looks and nothing to do with the merit of her intelligence or her skill at lawyering. So she thinks about returning to California, but Emmett empathizes. He tells Brooke the situation, and so Brooke fires Callahan, citing some obscure court rule which would allow still a law student Elle to represent her. Emmett offers to supervise in accordance with the rule. As Elle cross-examines opposing witnesses, she pokes two main holes in the prosecution's case. First, she figures out that the pool boy that Brooke allegedly slept with is gay. That would have provided a motive for why Brooke would have killed her husband in order to begin a relationship with this other man. However, she finds out that he is gay because he criticizes her shoes or something.
Yeah, which is
it's not a good
look.
It's not a very progressive scene. Next, and more importantly, to the case, Elle catches Brooke's stepdaughter Chutney, played by Linda Cardellini, in a lie about whether she was in the shower during the murder. The reason why she knew that Chutney was not in the shower is because Chutney had admitted to just getting a perm and had a perm while she was on the stand. And we all know that you cannot get a perm wet. They're like, a perm is like a gremlin. You can't get it wet or else bad things will happen. So throughout this sort of sequence, Chutney accidentally confesses to her father's murder on the witness stand. Brooke is immediately exonerated, and Elle just instantly wins the trial. After the fact, guess who comes crawling back but Warner? And Elle rejects him as shallow, and she calls him a complete bonehead. But on the other hand, she and Vivian do become best friends after Warner is out of the picture. And 2 years later, Elle is giving a graduation speech. Warner has no honors or job offers.
Or girlfriend.
And Emmett has started his own firm and is getting ready to propose to Elle that night. Full circle ending. The end.
Until Legally Blonde 2. Too legal, blonde.
Yes, wasn't it Red, White, and Blonde or something like that? Yes, it's
Red, White, and Blonde. Where I think Elle goes to the Supreme Court for Bruiser's rights as a gay dog.
Yeah,
that didn't do as well.
And reasonably so, it sounds.
Yeah, but shout out Regina King.
Yeah, she was in that.
We love Regina King. We got 2 Oscar winners
Yep.
in Legally Blonde 2,
Yep.
Too Legal, Too Blonde.
Yep.
And we love to see
Regina
it.
King and Bruiser, actually.
Yeah, the dog who played Bruiser. Alrighty. So, Tom, I got some stuff to talk about here.
Okay.
So, first is Elwood's casting. Now, let's start with who was also considered for the part of Elwood's before Reese Witherspoon netted the big job. So, considered for the lead is kind of your early 2000s dream. You've got Charlize Theron, you have Gwyneth Paltrow, Alicia Silverstone, Katherine Heigl, Christina Applegate, Mila Jovovich, and Jennifer Love Hewitt. Who do you think would be great for that role that maybe would have been your second choice? Because Reese is perfect.
I think there's an obvious choice here, but it would not have worked well for other reasons.
Tell me.
Alicia Silverstone is the choice.
However, Clueless, baby.
It just came right off of Clueless a few years prior.
Yeah.
It would have been too similar to Clueless. So I would take her out of it for that reason, but I think she would be the best Elle Woods.
Yeah, I mean, Alicia Silverstone's Cher Horowitz is one of my favorite TV characters.
She's great.
It's one of my favorite performances, not just like, oh, comedy. No, it is one of my favorite movies, my favorite performances. It is so beyond 1993 or 95 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it is such an amazing movie.
Yeah.
But I totally agree that the Elle Woods kind of thing, she would do great, but it would literally be Cher.
The character was the character's like not based on Cher from Clueless, but is like
it's very similar because Cher is just a SoCal girl who's really smart and doesn't like take any crap.
Yeah. I've got 2 other comments for this though. I wouldn't choose her for this role, but I was watching Knocked Up the other night, and Katherine Heigl's great in that movie.
Yeah, Katherine Heigl got a little bit tied up in some
Grey's Anatomy stuff.
In the Grey's Anatomy stuff and her comments after Knocked Up.
Yes.
So in case you're not up on your Heigl news.
Heigl heads out there?
And if you're a Heigl head, hey. And nowadays I think it would be different, but back in like 2007.
Yeah.
So one of the things, she had won an Emmy for Grey's Anatomy playing Izzy, a very popular character. And the next year, she herself took herself out of Emmy contention, citing, if I remember correctly, which sorry, Heigl, if I'm wrong, that she didn't feel that the writing was strong enough that year.
We'll get her on the pod.
And so she took herself out of contention for the Emmy the next year. And then with Knocked Up, she was not super happy with the portrayal of women in that movie and made it clear
she's not wrong.
And she made it clear in public comments that Judd Apatow, among others, did not take very kindly to.
Yeah.
And it led to her getting a reputation that I do think affected her career. I don't think that
she was pretty big at that time.
And she was huge at that time.
She did The Ugly Truth with Gerard Butler.
Yeah, which you know what?
That's another thing that may have affected her career.
You know what, though? I saw it. It's
not
funny.
that bad.
It's
not
funny.
that bad.
And she also, I don't know if it was previously, my cousin Chris's favorite movie, 27 Dresses.
Okay. Yeah.
Which has underrated actor King James Marsden.
Okay, yeah.
He's a great character.
Cyclops.
If we're talking about like likable co-leads, like romantic leads, that's one.
The thing I like about him is that he's self-aware.
Yeah.
Like he knows he's supposed to be like the Hollywood type, and he sort of subverts that in a lot of his, like in Westworld, he does that too.
Yeah.
He's very, very good.
I love James Marsden. So she was kind of on a hot streak there, and I don't think it was deserved looking back, getting kind of blacklisted from Hollywood for a while.
Yeah.
And even now, I know she had a show that lasted about a season or 2, but hopefully we get a Heigl-sance, a renaissance for her.
Yeah.
I like that you chose her as a possible like good choice for Elle.
I've got one other of those. Like Charlize is great and all, and I think she would have killed it. She's the obvious like she's the best actress of the group here.
It's kind of interesting.
She's not my other pick.
I wonder, because I thought about Charlize there. Was she famous at that time? 2001?
When was... Yeah, because Monster was a little later.
04?
04, 03,
something like that.
Yeah, I don't know if she was famous yet.
But I wonder if she had done that, if her career would have had a different trajectory.
Maybe
not, because
she seems to take like roles that she specifically wants to. So it's not like, I feel like, I'm not sure if she would have taken different roles because she's the same person, you know?
Right.
But maybe.
Because I don't think it necessarily would have hurt her career. Reese won her Oscar, I think, in 2005 for Walk the Line.
She was already famous.
Oh, really?
She was the leads in The Devil's Advocate, the female lead. The Devil's Advocate, Mighty Joe Young, and The Cider House Rules, which were all like
pretty big movies.
Reasonably big movies.
Yep.
And those were all in the 90s. So she was already famous.
Pretty famous.
My third would be Christina Applegate.
I was going to say my cousin, Christina Applegate.
Yeah.
All right. So the backstory to this is I have no reason to think this. I have always throughout my life felt like I was related to Christina Applegate. I think she was in a show called like Samantha Who or something back in like the mid 2000s.
Yeah. She was in a more famous show.
Of course, Married with Children, which I did not really watch too much of. My parents watched it and I've seen it since then. It's great.
A great show.
But I think she was in something called Samantha Who back in like 2007 or 8. Okay. And when I watched those previews on like ABC or whatever, I was like, I just feel like I have a kinship with her. Like we're related. I've always felt like we're cousins. And I found out later she did an episode of like one of those genealogy shows. Who do you think you are or something? And from what I saw.
Grease, who do you think you are?
Grease, who do you think you are? Starring Max Crumb. And she had family by way of Trenton, New Jersey. And so do I. And so I'm like, you know what? Cousin Chrissy, it may be real.
Well, again, we'll get her on when we do the Anchorman episode.
I do think she would have been an amazing Elwoods.
Or the Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead episode.
Perfect. I agree with you, Tom. She would have been my other choice.
Yeah, so my two would have been Alicia Silverstone and Christina Applegate.
Cool. I like it. What about if it was cast nowadays? In 2022, is there anyone that you think would make for a really good Elle Woods? If they, let's say, it's not like a remake, it's not like one of those straight to DVD things. It's like they made Legally Blonde for the first time. In 2022, who do you think would be great in that role?
I'm racking my brain trying to remember who I said last time. I remember who you said last time.
You said the Euphoria people.
Yes, I did. I said Sydney Sweeney was the first one.
Yeah. And then I said, what about Alexa Demi?
Yeah, I think both of them would be great. And you said Keke Palmer, which was a great one.
My choice was Keke Palmer. I love you, Keke Palmer. We are very pro Keke on the pod.
Yep.
And I've loved her ever since Akilah and the Bee.
Yeah. That's a school classic.
That is a school classic. I play it almost every year.
That's not the one that we were talking about earlier, but
no, we'll do Akilah and the Bee eventually. I love that one.
Yeah.
But she, I think, has had a really interesting career.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the things that she is not, I haven't seen Nope yet, and I heard she's incredible.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I think she's not given as much credit for, among many things, because I think that she's truly like, her career has been amazing, is her sense of humor is really great.
Yeah.
Now, I know she was on a Nickelodeon show, True Jackson VP. Now, that was after my Nickelodeon card.
Your time. Yeah.
My Nickelodeon card membership card has expired.
Yes.
But my sister liked it, I know. And so I'm sure she had some acting chops there. But I think that she would be an amazing Elle Woods.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even need to be that much of a different script.
Mm-hmm.
She would kill it. But that's my choice.
Somebody, I just looked up. Somebody online said Dove Cameron.
Oh, yeah. She's rotten to the core. Descendants, baby. Okay, so we went to Disney in 2019, as if you've listened to the Cars episode, you know. And it was during the premiere week of Descendants 3. And
boy, what a premiere week it was.
It was on every single night. And so like
it was like you go to Epcot for the day, you come back Descendants 3. You go to Animal Kingdom, you come back Descendants 3. Every night.
Every single night. And it was really sad because it was right after the one actor died.
Oh, yeah. The guy from
Cameron Boyce.
Is he the one from
He's from Grown Ups.
Grown Ups, yeah.
And he unfortunately passed away, I think, of a seizure disorder. He was only like 20. And so it was right after that. And so it was kind of like, I felt like we had to watch it every single night, at least part of it.
Yeah.
Just in honor of him.
I didn't even know who he was at the time, but
and when we went, it was always the same scene. It was always
every
that one kiss, one kiss.
Because we came back at like the same time every night. Like when the park closed.
Oh my God. So Descendants 3, shout out Dove Cameron.
Yes.
Yeah, Dove Cameron would be a good
Sure,
choice.
why not?
Why not? Especially if it was Legally Blonde the musical, because she is
Can
also
sing.
she's been on
She was in Descendants 3.
and Descendants 3, of course. Awesome. All right. One of my other questions here, you said it in the summary. Elle Woods received a 179 out of 180 on her LSATs. I just want to know, since you have taken the LSATs, you've been to law school, you did the whole shebang. Is a 179, is that like a real score?
Yes.
And would that have got, I mean, a 179 or 180, I would assume that would get her into Harvard in real life.
Well, that combined with her 4.0 GPA, I mean, this is discounting anything where you include nepotism and like things where you have to know somebody to get in. Like, I'm not even counting any of that. But if you look at the academics, yeah, that's a good enough score to get into Harvard.
Even if she had a fashion merchandising degree, because I mean, from what I know, though, you could kind of go to law school with any degree. Fashion merchandising, why not?
But you can go to law school with any degree, but can you go to Harvard with any degree is the question. That I don't know.
She was in a Ricky Martin video.
Well, yeah, exactly. And what I do think is very realistic is when she submits the audition tape to them and she's like in a bikini the whole time.
Yeah.
And then there's like the group of like stuffy white guys at the table that are like, well,
yeah,
like
welcome to Harvard.
Yeah, trying to find a way to let her in. That I do believe is realistic. So I think, again, taking out the fact that she may have had to know somebody or whatever, like Warner.
Yeah.
I think that the facts of the matter here are that, yeah, she probably did well enough to get into Harvard.
Shout out, Elle. Good job. I asked you this last time, and I actually am still interested in it. What would you consider, just your opinion, I'm not saying like that Google would have the same answer. What would you consider a solid law school, like LSAT score? To get you into like a pretty good law school. You don't need to go to Yale or Harvard or the non-existent Princeton law school. But what to get you into like a half decent law school?
I think the target number they say is like 150.
Are you going to tell me what you got?
No, I'm not going to do that.
You're going to tell me off mic,
yeah,
though.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I didn't go to Harvard, but I got into a good school and did well at that school and enjoyed my time there. So
yeah. All right, cool. And would you say that the bar exam is harder than the LSATs?
100 billion times harder than the LSAT. The LSAT
you have to like study for the bar exam like it was a full-time job for like months.
Yeah, the LSAT has nothing to do with law school. Like, it's a general examination of how logical you can be.
Yeah.
And like logic games and things like that. But it has nothing to do with actually like learning the law and applying the law to a case. Like, it has nothing to do with that, but that's all the bar exam is.
So the bar exam is like you have to know cases and you have to know specific law stuff.
You have to know at least the principles that come from cases. You don't necessarily have to be like, well, in this case, because you don't have anything to look at when you're taking the bar. You have to, it's total memory.
Yeah.
So you have to be like, well, I know that there's this part of the criminal law that says that for murder, you have to have the act and the mens rea, but you don't necessarily have to say, well, like this case is the one that says that this is the mens rea you need for murder,
Right.
But you can just say the rule.
Okay.
So it's a lot more specific.
Okay.
But it's not specific to the point where you have to like draw exact quotes and lines and stuff like that, which also makes it completely inapplicable to actual lawyering, because when you're actually a lawyer, you have there's no time limit like that. The judge isn't like, yeah, you can brief this, but you can't look at a book.
Right.
So it's not, neither of them are really applicable to being a lawyer, but the bar exam is far harder than the LSAT.
So bar exam, specific law stuff, but not too specific. And then LSATs is logic. Like, for example, rank Jennifer Coolidge's performances in Legally Blonde, White Lotus, American Pie is Stifler's mom, and A Cinderella Story.
Okay.
Like that?
That's not logic.
It's logical to me. I'm like, duh. So, all right, let's just wait. What? I got this like fake thing about an order placed for a still life table that they're going to take from my card.
Okay. Just click the link.
That's definitely fake.
Click the link.
Oh, hold on. Does it have a link attached? Yeah, it says
click the link.
No, it says call us.
Oh, even better.
I'm not calling
Call
you.
them on air.
No. Oh my God. So yeah, Jennifer Coolidge here, I think, is a really great role. I know you said in the other episode that we are it's lost to time.
Yeah.
That
it's actually just on my hard drive. But.
Yeah, well, delete it. That I got way too political in that one. Like, God,
it's only a matter of time.
I Dropped Truth Social references. Oh Lord,
Truth Social's not doing well.
I know. Did you see that?
Yeah.
So you say that Reese Witherspoon kind of acts circles around everyone else, but I gotta say, Jennifer Coolidge is amazing in it, and her character is the most Jennifer Coolidge character ever. Paulette Bonafonte.
Yeah, that is a great name.
It's so
good.
For
a nail stylist. Is that what you call them? What do you call them? Manicurist.
A manicurist. There's also another thing you can do. It's like a nail. There's a name for it. That's technician. Nail technician.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Paulette Bonafonte is the most nail technician name of all time.
I love it. And or like a diner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love her. But what's great is her hair and her makeup are out of control.
Yes.
So she's like, a great nail technician and hairstylist, clearly, because Elle looks amazing. But Paulette loves the blue eyeshadow.
She really does.
And why shouldn't she? Brings out her eyes.
Blue is for you.
Blue is for you. So one of the things that Elle talks to Paulette about is a way to kind of snag a man.
The UPS guy.
The UPS guy.
Which is his actual name at the end. Like
he doesn't really have a name, I guess, right?
It says Paulette and the UPS guy are dating or whatever.
So cute. And one of the things, because Paulette cannot talk to him, she's so nervous around him. She spills her nail water.
Whatever
even
it
is
was.
that?
I don't know.
Which is like in a little shell. Did you
Yes.
say? It's so cute. And Elle has the best advice. It works all the time on getting an dinner invitation, and it is the bend and snap. Now, this is a weird scene. I thought it was iconic, but looking at it now, it's a little bit strange.
It is very strange.
Kind of out of nowhere.
It's out of nowhere. It has nothing to do with anything else.
Yeah, and it's not like it actually works.
There's only a slight portion of the Paulette stuff that has anything to do with anything else in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's when she goes to help her get her dog back.
Yes.
And she spouts out all these family law, like just random things about family law that she would not have known at this point.
There is something kind of fun, though. It does come back, the bend and snap, because Paulette does it and accidentally breaks the UPS guy's nose. But guess what? It works. They end up together.
Right.
So that's kind of cute. But there's this thing with the bend and snap scene where all of a sudden, everyone in the salon is dancing and bend and snapping.
Do you know what movie this reminds me of? This scene reminds me of?
If you say Anchorman?
No.
Because I was thinking 60% of the time it works every time.
No. When she starts doing the bend and snap and then everybody starts doing it and just like evolves into this crazy thing.
Like Greatest Showman?
No. Like the beginning to the ending sequence in Hot Rod.
Oh,
when they're like riding
gosh.
through the town.
That's awesome. And
I
then
cannot wait to do Hot Rod.
And then it leads to the
Evil Knievel jump or whatever he's doing.
Oh, I thought it led to like a riot.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. They were on their way there.
Yeah.
To the jump. And just people just started like trashing cars and throwing stuff through windows just as they were walking down the street.
Hot Rod, I didn't love the movie.
No, but it has amazing moments.
There are some really funny scenes.
When he's dancing in the woods, or when
that's the best. And he
goes
falls,
flying
and it's
down
like 90 seconds long of him falling.
Yes.
That, and then is it also a musical scene where they start rioting? They're like singing a song.
Yeah, they're singing. I forget what the song
like
is.
Like We Are the World or something.
I cannot wait. We will cover that when we do Hot Rod, which we will have to do Hot Rod soon.
Well, we are Lonely Island fans.
We are.
All right. So one of the things I just want to mention, because there's no question attached to this. There's this one woman who goes so hard when dancing
in the bend and snap scene.
She's wearing this like crazy tracksuit and she just starts like high kicking.
Nothing to do with the bend and snap.
No. The best is she starts off by going like, bend and snap like this, and then she tries it, and then all of a sudden she is like going in. She's like in one of those breakdancing movies. I love it.
Insane.
She is so funny. And Reese is just like, yeah, bend and snap, girl.
Okay. And then we never see that character again.
No. So that's pretty funny. Something else that I want to mention here is, actually, now that we're talking about Ben and Snap, why don't we just go through the most iconic quotations?
We did watch Mare of Easttown not too long ago.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. Hey, Mare, what's the most iconic quotation? Let's go to Wawa.
Oh, boy. No one's going to listen to this. This is when people are going to...
Hey, Mare, let's get some water ice.
This is the point...
smacked ass. That's what Gene Smart says the whole time. She's like, he's a smacked ass, Mare.
This is the point where people are going to tune out, but it's okay because we've already registered your play by now this far into the episode, so we don't care anymore.
The best thing is that, like, the accent is just slightly more elevated than what my accent is.
Yeah.
Because I say water ice.
Yeah.
I say Wawa.
Woof.
I say woof. I say, hey, Mare.
Yeah, exactly.
My grandma says, hey, he's a smacked ass.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they say O's like, oh, I'm going home, which I say that a little bit. Oh, I'm going home.
Yeah. We'll talk about this on the Mare of Easttown episode.
I loved Mare of Easttown. It was so good.
It was good.
So anyway, what's the most iconic quotation?
We'll talk about this on the Silver Linings Playbook episode.
Yeah, perfect. Oh my God. Bradley Cooper, Philly legend. So I always thought that Legally Blonde had like a ton of iconic quotes, and it's not like Mean Girls. Mean Girls, every other line I know.
Legally Blonde has a handful.
Legally Blonde has a handful. This is what I wrote. I have, of course, Ben and Snap. I have the aforementioned, what? Like it's hard. I also have the thing where Ella's trying to convince the other lawyers that Brooke would not have killed her husband. And she says that, exercise gives you endorphins. Endorphins make you happy. Happy people don't kill their husbands. They just don't. And then another good one when Elle talked about her accomplishments over the summer while she's talking to the in her little group at Harvard, and everyone else is like, I dewormed orphans in Uganda and I did this and that, and she says that she talked Cameron Diaz out of buying a hideous Angora sweater, orange Angora sweater at Fred Siegel, and then she says whoever said orange is the new pink was seriously disturbed, which I like. And last time I said orange is the new black by accident, which shows that is a pretty iconic quote, because I assume that Orange is the New Black, the book and the show, kind of got that from.
Maybe.
I mean,
I don't know if it's like
another
phrase, but
I don't know. So what do you think is the most iconic quote?
See, I like to, when it comes to stuff like this, I like to give a little bit of shine to the quotes that are less sort of ubiquitous and everywhere and said all the time, just because, it is what it is. I'm not doing that here. The best and most iconic quote in this movie is what, like it's hard.
Really?
Yes.
I think it's either that or Bend and Snap. If you say Bend and Snap, they know it's from Legally Blonde, no matter who you talk to.
Okay.
What Like It's Hard, I think if you're a Legally Blonde fan or if you've seen the movie, you know it.
Okay.
But I would make the argument that Bend and Snap made its way into the lexicon outside of viewers of Legally Blonde.
For what it's worth, I had not seen Legally Blonde until probably a couple years ago. And I knew what Like It's Hard was, and I did not know what Bend and Snap was.
Okay, I'll give you that. That's cool.
Maybe I'm alone on that.
Maybe you are. I don't know. One of the other things that I want to talk about is Legally Blonde is a little bit before its time in some ways. One of the ways is when Brooke is in prison. Elle brings her a self-care basket. It's got Cosmo. It has candles and the entire Clinique skincare line. And I just want to shout out Elle for really being ahead of her time with the mindfulness and self-care movement. That's something that nowadays, of course, a protagonist would do that. But, back in 2001, I don't think everybody was doing it like Elle was. She was killing the game with her self-care. And so I just want to shout that out. What do you think about that, Tom? What would you want in your self-care basket if you were in prison? I did not ask you this beforehand or last time.
Yeah, probably a key and a shiv.
Yeah, maybe like peanut M&Ms.
Yeah, or those. Either a knife or peanut M&Ms.
Knife? Oh my
I said
God.
a key and a shiv.
Jesus.
I'm trying to get out of there. Peanut M&Ms are pretty good.
Why is my brain so warped now that when you say shiv, do you know what I think of?
Siobhan. Succession.
Exactly. If we're continuing with Irish names and we have a daughter, hey, Siobhan might not be off the list. That's also from Guess What Else?
What?
A Mare.
Oh, Jesus.
Mare's daughter, Siobhan. Anyway, I also said that if it was 2022, we wouldn't have the kind of beach body Brooke Wyndham thing. It would instead be
leave her in jail. Honestly,
it would now be a Peloton instructor.
100%.
Yeah, I just did my
Emma Lovewell. We're talking about you. No,
yeah. Cody Rigsby.
Yeah.
It would definitely be them. Although, again, hemorrhaging money right now.
It would be Allie.
It'd be Allie Love, you think?
Yeah.
She would be good for that.
Sorry, Nets fans.
Oh, man. I know, right? So, one of the last things that I want to talk about before I go to you. Oh, I have two things. One is we have in our household a Stellan Skarsgård rule.
Yes.
And so this is, think of it like Murphy's Law, where anything that could go wrong will, right? That's Murphy's Law.
I think so.
Yeah. The Stellan Skarsgård rule. We started it after seeing the English David Fincher version of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which starred Rooney Mara and Daniel Craig. Big names, right?
Yes.
It's based on a Swedish book and a Swedish movie.
Very, very famous Swedish book, Swedish movie.
The Swedish book.
Right, sure.
If you're doing that. And so Stieg Larsson, I think, wrote it.
Yes.
And then he died, and then they had somebody else do it. It's kind of like the Boxcar Children.
Yeah.
When the author died, they kept going.
I don't know what that is, but
you
it's
never
okay.
read the Boxcar Children? It's about 4 kids that are siblings, and they live in a boxcar. I read so many.
That's a pretty on-brand thing. Well, okay, continue. I do have a little bit of a thing to refute what you're going to say, though.
Oh, really?
Christopher Plummer and Robin Wright were also in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Okay, but all right.
But it's more about the type of role that Stellan Skarsgård had.
Okay. So in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, you're like, listen, you're jamming out because you got some like Nine Inch Nails stuff
Trent
with your
Reznor
Trent
vibe.
Reznor. And so you're watching and you're just like, ew, this is disturbing. That's what I was thinking.
It's a disturbing movie.
And then you've got this kind of random scene with Stellan Skarsgård in it. And I'm like, that's Stellan Skarsgård. Like, why is
Thor
he?
fame.
Yeah, why is he in this tiny little bitty baby role?
Yeah,
it didn't.
And he was in it for like 5 minutes in like the first third of the movie.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, is it because he's Swedish and he's like, shout out, I can get any role. I want to get any role I can to be in the English Fincher version. And then I thought about it and I was like, oh, he's the murderer.
You said it out loud, and I had read the book before I watched the movie, and I was like Jordan Peele, the sweating meme.
I was like, oh, he's the murderer.
And I was like, we'll see.
Here's the Stellan Skarsgård role. And Stellan Skarsgård, if you don't know him, he has very famous sons, Alexander and
from Succession.
Bill. Yeah.
And from It, among other things.
Yeah, it's Bill Skarsgård, and then Alexander is
Succession,
from Big Little Lies.
The Northman.
Northman, yeah.
Yeah, Bill Skarsgård's from It, yeah.
And so Stellan, who we know, we've seen him in a bunch of stuff before. Yeah. And I'm like, the rule is this. If you have someone that is pretty darn famous and they're in some complete inconsequential role, they're the murderer.
Yeah.
They're the murderer.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. So we can apply the Stellan Skarsgård rule here to Legally Blonde.
You can.
Because Linda Cardellini.
Chutney.
Was the murderer.
Yeah.
And why else would Linda Cardellini, who put her whole back into that performance as Chutney,
who was famous from Freaks and Geeks at this time,
and who was famous from Freaks and Geeks, why else would she have taken that tiny little bitty baby role?
Yeah, and she was in it shortly prior to the court scene.
Yes, very, very, very little, and
which fits into the Stellan Skarsgård theory.
Stellan Skarsgård rule. So guess what? I'm on to you. People, casting agents who are casting famous people in itty bitty baby roles.
Wait until Glass Onion, the new Knives Out movie, comes out, and we'll see if we can apply it to that.
That's perfect. That is perfect. Because, the original Knives Out with who the murderer was.
Yeah.
He was in it a little bit. I wouldn't say that rule applies to him necessarily because everybody was famous in that. But if there's kind of like a random itty bitty baby role.
But what they did with that character in that movie is they gave the switcheroo. So he's the target, and then you're like, no, wait, he's actually
that's
he's good
stuff right
so
there.
they Rian Johnson is a clear acknowledger of the Stellan Skarsgård rule.
Okay.
In whatever his conception of that is, because he debunks that in Knives Out, but then he brings it back.
All right, well, I'm on to you, Kate Hudson, for The Glass Onion
Yes.
in theaters and Netflix. Is it in theaters? Limited theaters.
Eventually.
And Netflix.
Christmas
soon.
time?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to get a little critic love, Oscar buzz, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there's my Stellan Skarsgård rule segment. My last thing here, I have one more question for you. Now, we went to a public college in the good old state of New Jersey, and we went in the early 2010s. We had some real interesting things happen, some with friends, some just in general. I want to know, Tom, if Elle was a classmate of ours, but somehow also had like a law degree. Although, like, you know, the way that they do it in the screenplay, we could find a rule. That we could kind of loosely fake apply to this.
What I will say quickly about that is that they clearly did their research, because even though a lot of this movie was inaccurate, that part, they actually cited a real rule that could have been construed to allow Reese or Elle to represent somebody in this, but not in this scenario.
Okay.
She would have had to have been a third-year law student, and it was only allowed in like certain cases. A murder trial never would happen. But they clearly did their research and tried, and for a movie that is going lawyers aren't the target audience of this movie. So for a movie that's going to be entertaining, I can totally take that poetic license and say
I'm living the fantasy.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like School of Rock. Like everything they like Dewey would never be hired as a teacher.
Right.
You know, as a teacher, it's not like I'm like, oh, this is inaccurate. I'm not watching this. Like, no, I'm a live my life with the School of Rock.
I'm actually trying to compliment them by saying they at least went halfway.
So
when they didn't have to.
I have a question for you, Tom. We have had some actual kind of like really sad stuff, like people murdered and stuff.
Yeah, we're not talking about that.
We're not going to talk about that. Although there is apparently there was a girl back in like whoever knows 1900s, who knows? When did our college
What are you talking about?
Who was murdered and stuffed inside a piano at Kendall Hall, and you can hear her ghost play music. I don't know if that ever happened.
I never heard that before.
I did. So
like Phantom of the Opera?
Yeah, she's the Phantom of the Opera there at Kendall Hall.
Okay.
So my question is, what is a situation that happened at our college that you think Elle Woods could represent the plaintiff, the defendant, the prosecutor, whatever?
I've got one. I'm going to have to sort of twist the ending because there wasn't any legal action that came out of it.
Okay.
But so this, I wasn't there for this, but I've heard it firsthand from the person who was there many, many times. And I've told it many, many times, so hopefully it's true. So a bunch of my friends were involved in an organization that did a scavenger hunt. And that scavenger hunt was things that were mostly innocuous, nothing too like out there.
Big word. LSAT vibes.
Yeah, exactly. But so one of these scavenger hunts was in New York City, in Manhattan. So they were doing whatever they were doing, and it's college, so they were, drinking a bit on the train, doing whatever. So there was maybe, I don't know, 12, let's say 12 people. And baby time, maybe you can hear them. And so it's maybe 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I want to say it's in the spring. So it's like, let's say April. And all of a sudden, our one friend, who I'm going to keep nameless for this purpose. I'm going to call him Jeff. His name's not Jeff. And so Jeff sees this, I don't know, lake or something, and he's like, oh man, it's so hot out right now. I really just want to go jump in this lake. So he runs over to it, and
lake in Manhattan.
Exactly. Well, like I said, they were engaging beforehand. So he jumps in, and it's not really a lake. He's like, I don't know, ankle high in it or whatever it is. And all of a sudden, the other people that are with him notice like these like red lasers, and they're like on him. And
oh my god.
Apparently he was, and they're taking pictures because like they know what's going on, but he doesn't. So what's going on here is he ran into the Rockefeller Center fountain, which is like one of the most famous landmarks in New York City. And apparently there's like armed guards there. So the officer comes down and talks to him and is like, you cannot be here. You have to leave. And my friend was able to talk himself out of it because we knew he was going to be able to do that.
Always.
And so when he was doing that, the officer was telling people to, delete the photos from their phones and all that because they can't be caught. This can't go online, and then all of a sudden these guys get fired because of something that actually happened. But whatever, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
So had they arrested him, thrown him in jail, thrown the book at him, threatened him with life in prison, there's one person that would have been able to get him off, even though he actually did it.
It's Elle Woods.
It would have been Elle Woods.
It's Elle Woods. I love that.
And you can't spell Rockefeller Center without L.
That's really good. Yours is a lot more kind of less insidious than mine.
Yeah.
So
she's just getting him off trespassing.
Yeah. Elle, if she does my example, she's choosing some interesting clients. So in mine, it was, I think, our junior year. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
It was my junior year, and I was at the Rat, which was like a disgusting, like, rundown little lunch spot. That it's the only place that served alcohol on campus.
Yeah,
the whole thing. And they had like live music too.
Yeah, and our Barbara and the Gittensteins played there.
Yes, that is true. And so there was an old guy. This old guy.
Oh no!
That was standing right near me, and it was packed at the Rat too. And this guy was like awkward. Like the only guy who was not 20 years old, a 21-year-old, whatever. And he had a very, very distinct look to him. And so I noticed him there and I was like, okay, that's weird. And for the next couple days, this guy kind of just like popped up around campus, especially at the Stud, the student center, and eventually was gone. And he left quite an impression, because someone made a Twitter account, and they had found a picture of him, and they called him Christopher Stalkin after his kind of look-alike. Yeah, Christopher Walken.
He looked like
he did look like him.
If you Google Christopher Stalkin right now, he pops up.
And I think that the Twitter is still up, and it's like, "Hey guys, I'm Christopher Stalkin."
Oh God!
And it turns out he went to a different campus that was nearby, and he tried to commit a crime, and it was not good.
A sex crime.
Yeah, he tried. Well, we don't know if it was a sex crime.
I thought we did.
To kidnap someone.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to slander Christopher Stalkin.
Yeah. So, that happened, and so they found him, and he never came back to campus.
I didn't see him after I found out about that. The alleged crimes.
Yeah, and it was a big news at our college.
It was. What a time.
And so you know what? I'm picking that for Elle Woods.
I found him, and the second picture when you search Christopher Stalkin is a side by side of him and Christopher Walken.
I do feel kind of bad because we don't know anything about him, but he was arrested.
Yeah,
you kind of can't do whatever happened.
He was Christopher Stalkin.
He was Christopher Stalkin.
Yeah.
And we don't know his real name, whatever. I'm sure you could find it if you wanted to, but don't do that. Who knows?
Don't dox Christopher Stalkin.
So,
and if you do, we have no liability for this.
Exactly. Yeah, Lawyer Tom, are we good?
We have disclaimed any person who stalks Christopher Stalkin.
Can we just say allegedly?
Yes.
Like
Jesus and Marrow.
Jesus and Marrow.
R.I.P. Allegedly.
So I think that Elle Woods, if she was kind of going the shady lawyer route, she would
the Saul Goodman route.
She would represent good old Christopher Stalkin.
Saul Goodman would 100% have represented.
There you go.
Christopher Stalkin.
And there's our Breaking Bad Better Call Saul segment,
which, as of this recording, ended like a week ago.
There you go. Tom, I'm done. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, we last time we talked Luke Wilson a little bit.
Oh yeah, that is something that we could discuss.
So we've talked about most prominently in the My Big Fat Greek Wedding episode about how we are like not super thrilled with the love interests in some of these movies. Like,
the men are lame,
and in Mean Girls as well.
Yeah.
So Erin asked me to sort of think about this before this movie and going in and being like, what about Emmett in Legally Blonde? And I will have to say that I do think that he is a step above Aaron Samuels, who is a
That
dud.
was the other one, yeah.
And he is a step above John Corbett's character, whose name I don't even remember. In
Eon.
Yeah, right. In My Big Fat Greek Wedding, he has the slightest bit of personality, but he's not in it enough. He doesn't do anything.
Yeah, he really doesn't.
I don't buy him and Elle together, really. Like, he has the one moment where he basically ousts Callahan and offers to supervise her, But at the same time, there's no real... It's cool that they're friends beforehand, which is fine.
That's what I like. I like because it seems that they actually like each other and
But
have like a friendship.
But there was no like romantic part of it.
Not even when she called him a butthead. I
Well,
said,
well,
you called me a butthead?
Well, besides that.
Yeah.
Besides butthead talk, there wasn't much. There wasn't much else there.
I think that's fair. We're still looking for our perfect rom-com.
Yeah. Also,
fantasy.
Let us know if you disagree.
Yeah.
Because I'm open to being convinced, but I think that these three that we've talked about are not great.
We
Luke
don't-
Wilson is fine. The other two are not good.
We don't take criticism, but we will take gentle praise with a little bit of a difference in opinion.
Well, what you can do is you can let us know in your 5-star review.
Oh, that's perfect.
So if you give us a 5-star review, tell us that we're wrong.
It's kind of like what I have to do as a teacher if I send an email to a parent. Praise, then the real problem, and then end with praise.
Yeah, and then
sandwich it.
Yeah, and we will read it on air if you give us a 5-star review.
Perfect. I did have one more thing to ask you. You mentioned a little bit of it, the accuracy of the law portion of it.
Yeah, I'm not going to go through that all again this time because it's sort of just boring law talk.
I say just pick one thing.
Well, one thing about the trial scenes were egregiously bad. You can't just be telling the jury exactly what your case is unless it's closing arguments. Although apparently it works in movies because I did just watch 2004's Walking Tall, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and he does the exact same thing at the end of Walking Tall.
Shout out, he represents himself.
He fires his lawyer, he represents himself, and then he like takes his shirt off for the jury, and then he just is totally acquitted, and then he's elected sheriff of whatever town he's in. So like, apparently you can just talk to the jury. I'm gonna start doing this.
Go for it.
I'm gonna start just talking to the jury, see what happens. Will I get held in contempt? Yeah, but so did The Rock in 2004's Walking Tall, and everything turned out fine for him. He didn't have the separate contempt criminal proceedings, so why would I? Anyway, that's like I said before, they clearly put in some effort, they clearly tried, and they drew the line where it would have become impracticable. And for that, I'm okay. I'm okay with that.
Love that. See, and this is why you marry the nerds, people.
Exactly.
Tom messed up. He just married me for my hotness.
So what about the food segment?
Food boring, not in it that much.
Sorry, food heads. There wasn't much here.
She makes muffins for the study group that rejects her.
She was slamming chocolate after the breakup.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Oh, and you said there was one lawyer that was eating Chinese food, which is a very lawyer thing.
Yeah.
Reminds me of The Staircase.
Yes.
The docuseries.
That was like stereotypes come from somewhere sometimes.
There you go.
And that was the chopsticks out of a Chinese food box stereotype for lawyers came from The Staircase, or was at least shown in The Staircase.
Although our friend just texted us that he used chopsticks to eat like messy popcorn that had like sauce, like a saucy caramel sauce and all that. And I'm like, that is genius.
That is next level.
That's genius.
I would have like gotten a glove. I wouldn't have been clever enough to think of chopsticks.
That's awesome.
I have a little bit of trivia. The trivia for this one's not great, but we have to, I decided we're going to have a trivia section every week. So here we are.
Just give me the good stuff.
Yeah, so we actually got to most of it. The one thing that I did want to talk about was that Elle wears 40 different hairstyles during the movie, which is cool.
Awesome.
And also in her contract, she kept all of her costumes.
Genius.
Yeah. So that is
even the pink sparkle bikini with the furry. I love that.
IMDb says all of her costumes.
Okay.
And she was named after Elle magazine because Amanda Brown, who wrote the novel, during her time at Stanford, she read copies of Elle magazine. So that's kind of cool. So these are like true trivia. Like this is not all that much stuff. We also have the Mrs. Nesbitt Identity Crisis Award, which to me, in my opinion, it's got to be Elle.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially after she is hit on by Callahan, because she really sort of tailspins and is like, was anything that I did actually me, or did people let me into Harvard because of my looks, which they kind of did, but that's just an aside. But she really had to re-find herself thanks to Brooke and Emmett, I guess. So there was that, but I also wanted to...
Vivian.
Vivian, too.
She had to think about it. She was like doing what was expected of her country club boyfriend, prep school boyfriend at their country club, and now her fiance. And she gave that up for her friendship with Elle, and as well as like feminism.
I guess, right?
Yeah.
I would also add Warner here if there was more time for him, because it feels like, I'm not saying that he is a good person or that he is even a relatable person or a person who is redeemable. He probably is, but
Yeah, why not?
I'm not saying that he's not. All I'm saying is that he's a person who feels the pressure of his family.
Definitely.
Like, his older brother went to Yale and is apparently a budding politician with a wife that he's like supposed to have. And the dad is, I forget what exactly the dad does, whether he's a politician or what he is, but like Warner's feeling,
everybody's a senator in his family.
Warner's feeling the squeeze here. And it bleeds through in every single one of his actions. And he doesn't make the right choices, but he's definitely going through an identity crisis. And I'm sure, especially at the end, when he has no job offers, because that is so stressful. I was coming off of a temporary job when when COVID hit, and when the job market slowed down right there. That was a year after I graduated, but at the same time, like it was slow going there for a while.
Yeah, that's intense.
I was fortunate to end up with a good job, but like I totally identify with him being in this sort of spin cycle.
Totally.
So I would add Warner to this list too, but Elle, I think, is the one in this that you see in this movie without extrapolating outside the movie.
So many Mrs. Nesbits.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, law school kind of is a haven of Mrs. Nesbits.
Back to school, baby. That's what happened.
Yeah, exactly. I have a couple other tiny things. Is Pooh Bear the worst play nickname ever? Because Warner calls both Elle and Vivian Pooh Bear.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what would be worse. Like, sexy. You can bleep that out.
Hot pants.
Hot pants.
Yeah, these will probably be worse.
What about like Rice Krispies?
No. Pooh Bear is worse than Rice Krispies.
Oh, Pooh Bear.
We're getting some crying.
Farting too.
Okay, so we'll have to wrap this up. I've got one other thing. The score in this movie was distractingly bad.
It was very loud. It was weird. It
was as if I legitimately looked up to see if this was John Williams who did the score, because it felt like almost like a Harry Potter, Jurassic Park kind of score.
Yeah, there were like big swells of music.
For some reason, randomly in this movie, like in completely inapplicable scenes. I don't notice when scores are like, when they're bad, but like this was legitimately bad. Like, I'm not a music critic because I don't know anything about music. So the fact that, I don't remember who actually did the score, and so I'm sorry if you're listening, but it's not a good score.
Didn't love.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it, except for our final question, which is, does Legally Blonde make Baby's first watch list?
Yeah!
Yeah, when?
Whenever!
He's already watched it, so.
Yeah, he's already seen it, so why not?
Yeah, we'll
5, 6.
Throw it on the rewatch.
25, who knows?
Yeah, so that's that. That is our very in-depth analysis of our final question, which is the entire point of this podcast.
I love it. My last thing is we need to talk about what we're doing next week. A movie I haven't seen yet.
Yes. Is this the first one that you haven't seen?
No, I did not see Pan's Labyrinth or Book of
Secret
Kells.
of Kells, yeah.
Or Secret of Kells.
What did you say?
Book of Kells.
Oh.
Yeah, Secret of Kells.
You did see the Book of Kells.
I did. Oh, God. And Book of Kells, episode 4. No, Secret of Kells, episode 4.
There you go. You'll be a promoter in no time.
I got there somewhere. So what are we doing next week?
Our next movie is one that hopefully you all have seen, but if not, it's on It's on like USA or something. It'll be in the description. It is 1995's Billy Madison, a Sandler classic.
I used to be a Sandman hater for anything that was not co-starred by Drew Barrymore.
And then we watched Big Daddy.
And now I'm a Stanler.
And then we watched Uncut Gems.
And then I was a major Stanler.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm in.
You're gonna like Billy Madison.
I think I will, because he says back to school.
Yeah,
that part.
We are covering every grade of school throughout this week and next week, because we got college in this one, we got law school. And we're getting K through 12 next week.
Perfect.
And it ends in a competition.
See, I'm in.
Yeah.
I love that.
And it's a competition between Adam Sandler and Bradley Whitford.
Oh my God, I love it.
And Steve Buscemi makes his presence felt. So it's going to be...
Heaven on earth.
It rocks. I love Billy Madison.
All right, I'm pumped.
So yeah, next week we're doing Billy Madison. It's definitely available either on USA or TBS or something. So just say it into your remote or go through your apps and you'll find it, and please watch it and join us next week.
Yeah.
Continue to follow us on Instagram. Send our Instagram to one of your friends.
Yeah.
Give us a 5-star review.
Send it to a baby, you know.
Yeah, send it to any baby that you know. And yeah, we are on Instagram at Baby's First Watchlist and on Twitter at Baby's Watchlist. And make us look cool. And that's pretty much it. And, you know, we love new people. We love new followers. And we love
you.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if the baby makes a noise. Go.
No, he didn't. He's right next to the microphone. He's like, please feed me for the love of God.
Oh my God. All right.
It. All right. Well, we will see you next week.
Bye.